broadcasting today, live and in the clear, from the FUN Aerospace Expo. That's the big event in April that happens in Lakeland, Florida. Our temporary studio today is in the Central Florida Aerospace Academy, and we appreciate their hospitality as we bring you interviews with interesting aviation personalities, pilots, mechanics, and just people who enjoy hearing about aviation and different aspects of it. So today, this time, we're going to talk about flying cars. What, you ask? Do we actually have a flying car? We are this close to having a flying car in production. And the car is being built by Samson Sky Production, company's name, and the car is called the Switchblade. You've probably seen or heard about it before because I've interviewed several people with this Switchblade car, flying car, a number of times in the past. And once again today I'm joined by Mr. James Mauch, a fellow Floridian. James is from the Naples area, and James is one of he's on the board of directors for Samson Sky, the parent company that is producing that will be soon producing the Switchblade. So James, thanks for joining us again today. We look forward to an update. We've had updates all along. The process of developing and producing a flying car, any type of new aviation vehicle, but particularly a flying car, is complex to say the least, I guess you would say.
I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
So would the whole team.
I'm sure. The whole team or the rest of the team is still hard at work in Prineville, Oregon. Is that right?
That's correct.
Near
That's
Redmond?
Yes.
Near Redmond,
Yes.
So it's Central Oregon. And so they have been making great progress, but the whole process takes, my gosh, how long has it been since you've been started from concept here?
We've been at the prototype development and testing for about 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 years. And how long have you been on the board of directors, James?
Now for 4 years.
Okay, so quite a commitment on your part as well.
Lots of fun.
And eventually you hope to be one of the owners of a Switchblade, I trust.
I do. I actually own number 13 off the production line.
Number 13. So
Yeah.
so the way they work this is when you sign up and say, I want to buy a Switchblade, you go on the list, right? And
Yes.
you're there hierarchically from when you signed up. So you were like the 13th
That's right.
person. So you're in more or less on the ground floor, if you will.
I feel that way, yes.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. So you're probably more eager than most because you've been waiting the longest for this airplane car.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that's good.
As we all have.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Plus, those of us who may have not yet signed up to purchase one, or maybe don't have an interest in a flying car or whatever, it's interesting just to see how this is playing out and how it's coming to fruition. A long time in the making, but it's going to be a wonderful vehicle, and it's going to revolutionize the way many people use flying and automobiles on the ground. So it's the best of the best combination of the two, isn't it?
We agree. It has about a 500-mile range, flying range. So it's perfect for regional air mobility and personal travel.
Yeah, wow. So the CEO of the company, Sam Bosefield, is, I would call him a friend. We're not the best of buddies, of course, but I've interviewed him a couple of times, both on the telephone and Zoom, and then in person at Oshkosh even last year. So I feel like I know him and his wife and several members of the team that I've met. They're very industrious people, dedicated to bringing this to fruition. I can only imagine over 10 years, these fine folks must have run into roadblocks that seemed insurmountable, and they could have just thrown up their hands and say, that's it, I quit. But they have not. They have continued on and overcome each of the obstacles and made workarounds and made some changes and the like. And it's been a journey, I'm sure, for you and particularly for the people in Prineville. But we're making progress, and we're getting closer. Now, since the last time you and I've talked, James, we've made some really major milestones in the development. Tell us what's been happening in the last year or so that you recall.
So since you and I last spoke, which is FUN last year, we've had our first flight, first of all. So with our prototype, that happened in November, and a number of flights since, and developed a lot of great data about the prototype itself. And that's helped us move into a pre-production stage right now. So we're in production engineering with our eye on building this thing in a couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still a couple of years to building it, but
A couple of years to build production,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, to build the
Yeah.
production facility, yeah, unfortunately. In the meantime, we'll build 3 production prototypes, which are actually driving, flying vehicles. In fact, of course, we're anxious to to drive and or fly one of them here, and so we can demonstrate it to the Sun and Fun folks.
That'll be great.
That'll be so much fun. And so we'll be doing that in the meantime, of course. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, so perhaps next year we'll be doing this interview standing next to one.
Yes.
You and me and Sam.
I would
Boesfield,
love that.
maybe. That'd be
Yeah.
great. That'd
Yes.
be great. And if not there, at Oshkosh, or maybe both.
Yes, or
That
both.
would be wonderful. All right, so yeah, major milestone, flying it for the first time. So you saw it just a moment ago, folks. The video of the red Switchblade, and so it looks like a ground vehicle, and it in fact is a fully functioning automobile, right?
Yes.
And then when you're ready to transition, drive it to the airport onto the ramp, you transition it to an airplane. The wings actually fold out from underneath the vehicle like a switchblade would. So the
Yes.
wings actually fold out, which is really cool. And then the tail goes through some kind of transformation where it comes out and it folds back up, and now you have rudder and elevators on the tail of the car, airplane, and the like.
Yes, in ground mode, as you can see, all of that folds within the bumper of the vehicle. In fact, it will be enclosed in the final vehicle. But in flying mode, it's a typical T-tail and rudders.
Yeah, yeah. And then now you see it in the video that you're seeing right now. So here come the blades, the switchblade wings that are coming out from underneath the vehicle, and then the cavity closes up with a cowling, and the tail is transformed so that we have a fully functioning elevator and rudders in a T-tail configuration and the like. So the vehicle holds 2 people, is that correct?
2 people, current model.
And the interior controls that you have for driving include a steering wheel,
Yes,
accelerator and brake.
yes, on the
Okay.
ground.
And then what happens when you transition to airplane mode?
So transitioning to airplane mode, first of all, is about a 3-minute process, believe it or not. All the tail and wings and everything.
Wow.
Inside the plane, you have 2 pedals, which become rudder pedals. Actually, one is the accelerator when you're on the ground. That's one of the rudder pedals. And another one on the left side drops down. So you've got those. And the yoke becomes steering wheel becomes the yoke for flying.
So it actually pulls in and pushes back?
It
and the
does.
like.
That's right. In the test prototype, that's exactly how it worked.
Wow, that's amazing. And all this happens within a 3-minute period. You transform from road
Yes.
vehicle to air vehicle.
That's right. And all your instruments also go through a conversion.
Oh, did they?
So yes, it's all an electronic interface, of course, glass, as we like to call it in the airplanes. But you've got, electronic glass speedometer on the ground, for example, and all your other engine parameters. And so in the air, that switches, and now all of a sudden you have airspeed, and you have altitude, and etc.
Exactly.
And you have a navigation system in your center column, flight navigation system.
Very good. And
Yeah.
does that work as a moving map on the ground?
Absolutely.
So that you don't get lost when you're driving to and from
That's
the
right.
airport. That's great.
Yes.
That's great. So so you've been out to Pineville, to Oregon, to where they're doing the pre-production models and the like. Have you been able to drive one, or?
I've been in the ground vehicle, not the flying vehicle.
Okay.
Only a test pilot has flown that thing to date.
Yeah.
But for the production prototypes we just talked about, 3 of which we're going to build before we get to production, those will all be fully ground operational as well as flying, and of course we'll have I call them marketing pilots that'll be wandering the country with those vehicles to promote them.
Have you signed up for a marketing pilot?
I have. It's
Good.
funny you mentioned that. Yes, I've signed up. I haven't had my assignment yet, but
How exciting that'll be.
I would love that.
Not only have one to fly, but to promote it and
Yes.
help other people get them convinced that they need one as badly as you think they do.
That's right.
That's good. So
Lots of
that's
fun.
probably, what, 2 years away? Or?
Yes, we'll start the production prototypes this year, actually, and kind of 1, 2, and 3, if you will. So within the next year, we should have a production prototype up and running.
Excellent.
driving, flying. Yeah.
So what will you need as a pilot to be able to fly one? Obviously, at least a private pilot's license, or is
Yes.
it a sport pilot?
It's a private pilot's
Private
license.
pilot's
Yes.
license. Okay.
Yep.
And then on the ground, you need a state driver's license.
You
Is
need
that
a driver's license, that's exactly right. But although it is a three-wheeled vehicle, so it's regulated as a motorcycle on the ground.
As a motorcycle?
Yes,
Okay.
in
How
most
interesting.
states, that's right.
Yeah.
I think Hawaii is the only exception I know, but most states it's treated as a motorcycle.
So you would have to have a motorcycle license on your driver's license.
That's right,
or
on your driver's
motorcycle,
license,
Whatever
yeah.
they call that, add-on to the
You have to do
driver's
an
license.
add-on, that's right.
Yeah, but that's pretty easy to get. And
Yeah.
I can imagine when you go into the DMV in your local state and say, I need a motorcycle license, and they might ask what for, and you'll say, you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you.
We've also made progress in a number of states getting legislation introduced for flying cars. I know that sounds bizarre, but we actually have a bill, and the simple purpose of it is to make that registration process simple. So when you walk in, you don't just get the shock value of a what?
A what?
But, yeah, that's right. But actually, oh yeah, that fits within this new. So you'll have a flying car
Yeah.
license for the road.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that will be certainly unique. And how about license plates on the vehicle? Will you have to display a license plate,
You
I
will.
imagine?
Yep. You will display
you got a
a
space for
rear
that?
license plate
Okay.
for the thing. Yes,
All right. And then inside the aircraft, you'll have the aero documents?
you will.
Yeah.
You'll have your
That's it.
aero documents because you're
It's-
flying.
It's a car and an airplane.
It's an
both.
airplane. That's right.
What an interesting combination. I imagine it evokes all kinds of things that we hadn't really thought about before when we just drive or we just fly. This is the combination of both,
Yes.
so it makes things a little bit more complicated. Interesting you should say about the legislation that you have introduced in several states and been successful in getting. I read one of Sam's articles on this before, how that was needed. I wouldn't even have thought about that, but state legislation to regulate what is a completely new type of transportation, the hybrid of car and auto.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
We think it'll just make it easier on the licensing administrators, the MV. We all take our cars to the whatever it's called in your state
Yeah.
to go through the registration process. But we think it'll make it a lot easier to have that in the books.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it'll give you a good basis from which to expand. So let's talk a little bit about the vehicle. So I mentioned, and we saw the video a moment ago, about how the wings fold out like a switchblade and the tail transforms from being inside the bumper to up there. So what about the engine, and what is the vehicle used for thrust?
So the propulsion system is a hybrid electric propulsion system. Just like a hybrid electric car, actually, although right now our architecture does not include a battery. For the obvious reasons most people know, batteries are heavy. But we will have a small engine attached to a generator, and that will produce the power, and electric motors on the wheels for ground driving, and electric motors on the propulsion system, the props, for pushing the thing in the air. So that's the propulsion system. It's electric, really, but a hybrid power source.
So a gas engine,
Gas
runs
engine.
the generator to produce the electricity. The gas engine is what?
So it's a three-cylinder is what we've been.
Three-cylinder.
That's right. What we've
Okay.
been building, and that produces in the 200 horsepower range.
Wow.
Some of those produce up to 300 horsepower, so we have that capability if we need it. We think we'll typically need something in the range of 200 horsepower for the generator, maybe a little bit more, but we have that in these small motors. Very efficient, super efficient, and of course with the hybrid architecture. On a 30-gallon fuel tank, you'll be flying 500 miles.
Wow, that's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
So the engine runs a generator, and the generator produces the electricity.
There'll be two electric motors.
Two electric motors in the
For the
rear
wheels.
And then another electric motor to turn the propeller.
Correct.
And so, is there any backup, or what happens if that electric motor goes bad?
That's right. Good question. So it's interesting. The electric motor architecture that we've chosen, this is a whole new field out there. So when you go out to look for electric motors, a lot of cars obviously have them, but applying them to aerospace is a completely different thing. So we found an architecture which actually has twin, I'm not going to get into all the details here, but has twin coils in it, which means that you essentially have two motors in one. One of those coils, which is what can fail an electric motor, can fail, and that motor will still produce power.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's more of a fail-safe than that.
Yes, so there's redundancy in our motors, which is going to be very interesting for flying, obviously.
Yeah, so if a pilot loses one of the coils, he doesn't necessarily have to do his best glide demonstration.
That's right. Although the vehicle will have auto glide capability, all those things that are available with modern avionics.
Wow. Auto land too, or is that?
Well, that's a very good question. So the big difference between the two of those is having a altitude radar, basically, to be able to get you within 12 inches, of the ground, kind of thing. And that's easy. That part's the easy part, but the software's not there. Our goal is to have full auto land in it, even though the Garmin option today, for example, if I could bring one of those into the discussion, is not available now for other than a couple of certified aircraft right now.
Right.
But we think that'll be available, but there are other options.
So will this be a certified aircraft when you're finished?
No, it will be a typical experimental amateur-built aircraft. The first version of this will be, and you will come to our build center to do that.
So if I'm fortunate enough to get one of the production slots and pay my amount for it, I would go to one of the production centers that will be set up various parts of the United States.
Initially
and I will
3.
I will be able to build my airplane in, 6 or 8 months?
How about a week?
A week?
So yes. So we have designed a quick build process, which is also already been signed off by the FAA, not ours specifically, although we've talked to FSDO and the DAR folks, the DARs, who actually do these inspections, about our quick build process, and they said, yep, we have these, other aircraft manufacturers are doing this right now, we love what you're doing. So in our facility, the vast majority of the vehicle is carbon fiber, so you'll be coming to our plants and basically fabricating carbon fiber parts and doing some sub-assembly work, but all of that in a week.
Wow, in a week. So I could
lots of automation.
Physically go to one of these build centers, spend a week there putting together my airplane and everything but avionics and paint?
Including avionics, not paint.
Including avionics but not paint.
That's right. We assume everybody has their own unique, idea of what they want their flying car to look like. So yeah, everything but the paint.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. And you're able to do that because, one, most of the parts are carbon fiber.
Yes.
And everything is standardized. The parts are
That's right. And we have been able, because of that, we've been able to automate it to the point where we get very good quality control, which is what you want with an aircraft anyway, but certainly with carbon fiber assembly.
So James, how many people are crazy enough to have already signed up for this? I don't say that in jest.
So we've sold 120. So 120 people actually own one of these things, have purchased them outright. And we have about 2,300 people on the reservation list.
Wow.
In addition to that.
120 people have put their money where their mouth is.
Yes.
And said, I definitely want one, and here's my money for it. And another 2,300 are saying, I want one, and here's some initial money.
That's right. Show me the production slot, and then I'll, step in. Yep.
All right. So if you sign up today, you're going to be number 2,401, probably 2,300.
Yes, but there are also some other options.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there.
Okay.
Call me.
Yeah. Okay. There's always another option. And
That's
sometimes money talks. Sometimes
That's
it's just whatever. So that's good. So another year to put in these production models to get those up and running and testing with the FAA, I suppose, and the like, or is that?
So yeah, as an experimental, it's just we show up, we being owners, I'm talking about an owner now, show up with our vehicle to a FSDO or DAR. They do the inspection, give you an airworthiness certificate, and off you go.
Wow. So it's not as difficult as a fully production airplane.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's going to save some time, and it's going to make, just being able to build your own airplane is pretty exciting experiment and experience as well. And doing it under the watchful eye and tutelage of someone in a production facility, that knows how these airplanes are supposed to be put together and how to make them safe and the like. This is going to be a great thing, and I can hardly wait to see you be flying one.
Yes.
And maybe I will be someday soon as well. I don't know. I haven't decided yet for sure. But
you and I will fly together here.
Okay, that'll be good.
That'll be great.
Good. It's a two-person
Yes.
vehicle, right?
Yes, it is.
Right. Very good. So drive to the airport, 3 minutes to transform your automobile into a car, and then fly away. How cool is that? My guest this afternoon has been Mr. James Mauch, one of the directors for the Samson Sky company, builders of the Switchblade. You will see it next year at Sun and Fun and again at Oshkosh, and we'll be flying it soon. Thank you for joining us in this interview. Stay tuned. More interviews to follow.